Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight. It's estimated that in 2013, this year, Americans will spend about $600 billion on the Christmas holiday. $600 billion. But as you may know, Christmas is not universally accepted in the country anymore, although polls say most Americans still respect the federal holiday. Joining us now from Miami, the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. Now, in the past, Bernie, you've been a bit skeptical of my Christmas reportage, correct?
Yeah. Look, let me start out with what I agree with. I agree with you that it's absolutely silly to call it a holiday tree. It's a Christmas tree, and most or almost all reasonable people know that. I also agree with you that it was needlessly offensive to put up a sign in Times Square, the one the atheists put up, that said, "Who needs Christ in Christmas?" That was needlessly offensive. I'm totally with you on that. But this is pretty much where our agreement ends. I don't think there is a war on Christmas. I think it's a catchy phrase, but that's about all. And here's why. Someone once said to Louis Armstrong, probably the greatest jazz musician of the 20th century, you know, "How's it going, Louis?" And Armstrong supposedly answered, "Nothing new, white folks still in the lead." Well, nothing new here either. In December and most other months, Christian folks are still in the lead. And frankly, Bill, I don't know why my Christian brothers and sisters out there get so worked up over this. Almost all of us, there are very few who put up signs in Times Square or who call it a holiday tree. Almost all of us wish you nothing but the merriest of Merry Christmases.
All right,
we want you to be happy.
There's a couple of things in play, and you can't ignore them because they're history now. 9 years ago, when we started this reportage on Christmas, there were orders given by some major corporations in America to their employees forbidding them saying Merry Christmas. We outed those companies. They reversed the policy. So today, everybody, as far as we know, any employee can say any Merry Christmas to anybody they want. And they can say Happy Holidays. They can say Winter Solstice, Here Comes the Sun. They can say whatever they want.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So
right.
That one was fought and won. Then the ACLU, as you know, over the years, has spent an enormous amount of money trying to terrorize certain school districts into browbeating the public schools that you can't have Christmas carols, or you can't have a Christmas wreath or a Christmas candle or a menorah, whatever it may be. We've beaten those back. They've lost almost everyone in the courts. Then the state of Rhode Island, as you pointed out last year, said no more Christmas tree, holiday tree. Today, the governor, this season, the Governor Chafee, reversed. All of those things happened because we attacked them. We challenged them. So therefore, it isn't a mythical war on Christmas. It's real, and we just won.
No. Here's what I think you do that's a mistake. We live in a country of about 315 million people. There are going to be some people who want to call it a holiday tree and some people who want to put up a sign, you know, and things like that. But if there's anything to this bill, it isn't a war on Christmas. It's a battle that's part of a bigger war.
Yeah, a culture war. I agree.
A culture war, exactly. Right. And here are the two sides. Conservatives think that their family values are under attack by liberals who call it a holiday tree. And a lot of liberals think that there are far too many Christians who, if they had their way in this country, would turn America into a Christian theocracy. So here comes the war on Christmas, where somebody does something really dopey, like puts up a sign in Times Square or whatever, and that's just one more piece of ammunition to use in this never-ending culture war.
Well, what would have happened, and we're speculating here, but, you know, we can do this educationally, if I hadn't taken this on, and we hadn't challenged the stores, and we hadn't challenged the ACLU, what do you think would have happened, Bernie?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's take the stores first. And I'm going to disagree with you on this, too. I think businesses have every right to tell their employees to say Merry Christmas or to say don't say Merry Christmas. I happen to think it's a bad business decision because you're going to call this out and then people aren't going to shop there. So they have a right to do it.
But if I wasn't here, then they would have done it. But I think it was a bad decision. Okay, so they would have done it. It's their store. They can do whatever they want, pretty much. No, you can't really violate freedom of speech like that. You really can't.
Well, freedom of speech only has to do with government, not with a department store.
No, but it has to do with individual Americans.
But it's the spirit of free speech, okay. But the point is, if a store The person owns the store. The person invested in the store. It's not your money. It's his money. If he wants to say, I don't want my people saying Merry Christmas because it isn't good for business, I think he's wrong, but that's his right to do it.
It may be his right, but if that had continued, if that crescendo of craziness.
What would have happened if that continued?
We wouldn't have Merry Christmas greeting anymore. Not in the commerce. Wouldn't be there.
No, that's one or two stores.
No,
it's
no, it was a big movement. Big movement.
I think you're jumping on the outliers in a country
they had big
that
money behind it, Bernie. We exposed it. They had big money behind it. With pressure groups going right up to the CEOs and threatening them.
Let's at least note that in homage to you and your holiday, I'm wearing a red shirt and a red tie.
Get some Santas on that tie.
And all my other Christian friends out there a very Merry Christmas.
Bernie Goldberg, everybody. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along.